Are we ready to rock and roll? Here we go. All right, good morning, group. Good morning, group. All right, we're rocking and rolling. Yeah, no kidding. All you jointly know, I'm trying to save you time. All right, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
So, world is run by those who show up. Thanks for showing up. Deej is out sick. She's in a tough spot right now. Physically, I mean, sick. I don't know. Something's going on, or something's going on around. So I'm down here to run team meeting this morning. Here's my goal for you today. 1, share with you some perspective. 2, give you some market insights. 3, give a little bit of an update as to where we are with Defender Dawn as it relates to some of the changes in the industry. And 4, hopefully we have a good conversation and we can go back and forth on it. Sound good? All right, love it. So mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspectives. Leading it with one of the things I wanted to touch on as it relates to our belief system is success results through people. And everything we do, we try and do with intention and purpose with how we serve you from a leadership perspective. And we are you and you are us, right? From the standpoint of our results as an organization are reflective of the results of the productivity and level of productivity that you guys do. And one of the things I wanted to share with you that we hadn't shared with you in a while is just an update on Lore and what's going on and how productive is this group of people, because sometimes I think that our environment takes it for granted, the level of productivity that you're around and the community that you're a part of. So what's the Lore look like for the first 6 months of the year? And when we look at Lore, we always look at, are we intentionally and purposefully outpacing market averages, right? And when we talk about outpacing market averages, we look at, there's a lot going on these screens, but what we try and look at and showcase to you is where's the MLS versus where's our peer group amongst our community. And we look at it from a closed units perspective, closed volumes, listings sold units, listings sold volume, listings taken units, listings taken volume, contracts written on the buyer side and contracts written on the volume of buyer side. And it's important because it helps us measure everything we do as a leadership team. Are we being intentional and purposeful with how we pour into our group to help people understand how they can grow their market share to help them achieve their results? And if you look across the entirety of the Milwaukee metro market, nearly every metric, community that you're a part of is outpacing the community as the macro that you're involved with. And I think that's a direct reflection of the intention and purpose we have around our training and education, the intention and purpose we have around our building our community and who you're a part of and what the community you're a piece of. And I think it's important to share because sometimes, especially in the middle of July, when you feel like you're on the hamster wheel and you're not sure if you're making progress towards where you are, I look at it from a macro as an organization and say, damn, we have a lot of really productive people. We're incredibly grateful to be in business with all of you. And I think sometimes we take it for granted of damn, we're a part of something really special, people doing really incredible things. How that then shows up from a market share standpoint, in 2024 through the first 6 months of the year, KW is a brokerage in the brand. And this is just the 5-county metro area. I think different people like to look at different things across different geographies and different time frames because there's different ways you can look at numbers. I look at it of KW MKE is a Milwaukee market, the 5-county metro area. How are we doing versus the 5-county metro area of our peers? The coolest part about it, a couple things. One, last year we finished number 1, but just barely over number 2. And we've widened that gap by 15% in 2024. Now, when I say it's a collective we in terms of the market share that you're taking. And if you remember in the book Shift, the market share you take now in a shift as the market tide rises and you maintain your market share, the growth will go with it. And I think that's incredibly positive. The other thing is that we look at it on a per agent productivity, and is it our agents, with the intention and purposes that we have of our training and education and everything else that we do, are we outpacing market averages? And if we are, it means we're doing the right things to help people get into productivity. So KW Associates, on average, close 102% more closed dollar volume and 69% more closed units per agent. That's pretty effective and pretty incredible. Now, one of the other things that we share, and I get asked a lot of questions on this because I think the next band of pricing everyone aspires to get into, right? And my question to the group is would you rather sell 10 100,000 homes or $1 million home? I mean, just from an economies of scale standpoint, yeah, like you would love to sell $1 million home. And what we also try and do is give you stories so that when you walk into that luxury listing appointment, that you have incredible wind in your sails, to have the confidence to know that you're part of an incredible community that sells luxury, because I think everybody aspires to sell luxury at some point in their career. And when you look at the luxury market through the first 6 months of the year in 2024, here's a really cool stat for you with next time you go on your luxury listing appointment. KW Milwaukee sells 54% more luxury homes than the number 2 brand, 54% more, and they sell them. KW Associates sell them 41% faster. 54% more market share in the luxury space, and they sell them 41% faster. It's the power of the community that you're part of, and when you go into those listing appointments, it's just trying to give you guys little nuggets to have the confidence and the swagger that when you walk in, that you know that you can get it done. So just little touch points and things to try and help you guys win. And everything we do, we think about how do we remove obstacles to help you win every single day. With that, in the month of June, first of all, we owe it to Michelle, Emily, who's in the background, and a few others for everything they do to help us. We paid out 5.5 million commissions in the month of June in the middle of a system processing change. And these guys managed it effective basically over the span of 10 business days. And we got right back on track to get you guys, for the most part, right back on track to get you guys paid on within the timelines that you expect. In doing that, in quite frankly, what is one of our busiest months in terms of commissions paid was no small feat. Michelle, Emily, and the team, thank you for everything you did. And year to date, we're at 26.2 million commissions paid, right? And the reason I share that with you, again, is to help create perspective around the economic impact that we as a community have with each other and the level of success and productivity that we have together combined. With that too, fresh out this morning, in June, we'll pay out $82,050 in profit share. In the month in July 21st, and year to date, it brings a total across all 5 locations in southeastern Wisconsin. $370,000 will be paid out in profit share in the month for the month of June, which is incredible. I'll also share with you this because sometimes I think comparison is the thief of joy. And I had a conversation with Ina about this to help understand like the impact of profit share and what it means on an individual per person basis. Did you know between whether you influence someone to join Southwest or you influence to join someone in North Shore or influence to join someone in Lake Country, economics are actually the exact same in terms of payouts. And we've gotten the businesses so dialed in to the point that you're not putting interests of what am I making on a profit share standpoint ahead of what is in the best interest of the agent. And the returns, no matter what location they're in, are actually identical. And I think it's important to share with you that so that whether the total pool, because there's more agents in other locations or whatever, the total pool is not what is relevant as it is what is it on an individualized basis. And the opportunity is the same on if someone joins here or joins anywhere else. And so I share that with you as a way to say, like, this is an incredible, Southwest is an incredible place to help grow your profit share grow your profit share income. And it only takes 2 or 3 people to make, roughly the way the math works, 2 or 3 people to make around 10 grand a year in passive income. So it's a really incredible opportunity for those that really understand it and take advantage of it, because someone's getting paid $82,000. The question is you have a hand in that cookie jar, or are you sitting on the sidelines? Cool. Any questions about that? All right, sweet. Let's jump into training and education. The reason I led with lore is because of intention and purpose, and success results through people. And a lot of that shows up because of what it is that we pour into you from a training and education standpoint and helping you understand what's available to you in the month of July. So in the month of July, we're running Ignite. I think Ignite, in my opinion, for the time, energy, and resources that you invest in Ignite is the best return on your investment of anything we do. The reason being, you get to pour it into by 12 incredible people that run really successful businesses, and you learn from a diversity of thought, diversity of approach that's really, really powerful. It helps you understand what makes the Jean Greco's really successful, or Tina really successful, or why is Mark Smith really successful, all the way down to like what makes Janine, what makes Mackenzie, and what makes Nicole Asaki do what she does best. And how you take the tidbits of information of what they share with you to then make it your own is ultimately how you then become and create your value for your clients to understand your fiduciary. And the best part about it is you're getting people who sell everything from $100,000 homes to $1 million homes. You're getting people who work in the northern part of the region to the southern part of the region, from the eastern part of the region to the western part of the region, because diversity of thought, diversity of approach is incredibly powerful to helping you understand how you serve all your clients, right? So Ignite starts Wednesday, and it starts here in New Berlin. We're hosting it in New Berlin for the month of July. There's 50 plus people signed up as of this morning who intend to take Ignite. And for those of you who aren't able to commit to the whole thing, if there's something that you want to jump into because you want to learn from Ashley Meyer, or you want to learn from Laura Brewster, Amanda Schroeder, or the Shipleys, like jump into those sessions, because they're speaking on something incredibly powerful, and half of the knowledge that they share is their anecdotal evidence of success and helping you understand their systems and models. Does that make sense? I can't stress the importance of like how powerful Ignite can be when you really are a sponge and absorb what it is that makes these guys successful. So that starts Wednesday at 9 a.m. 4th of July. Hopefully everybody had 4th of July. Good 4th of July. And no one got in trouble with Bummerfest. But the rest of the July calendar mainly focused on the Ignite calendar, because we do want to encourage people to learn from their peers. A handful of other things to call out. Tina, we have the Kinetic Wealth Mastermind coming up on the 17th. What do these guys need to know for next week?
So it's actually not the 17th. It's actually tomorrow. We had a little schedule change because of the weather. But it is tomorrow from 1 to 3. It's going to be at the Collective Arena again. Mike Weber from the office is going to be at vetting tenants, explaining leases, making sure that you've got all your T's dotted, T's crossed, I's dotted. My leases probably aren't that great. So I'll learn from him. And we'll be serving lunch, and we're also going to have Magnolia Tax that comes there. So come enjoy it. It's 1 to 3 on the lakefront. It's gorgeous.
So for those on the Zoom, real quick recap, it's tomorrow, not the 17th. Mike Weber, which if you don't know Mike's background, Mike transitioned into residential real estate to manage an investment portfolio after coming from Colliers, managing tenant on big commercial leases. He comes from a space where he knows it well, and Magnolia Tax Services will be there to help you understand how to take advantage of it. Sweet. For those on the Zoom. All right. Also, next week, Thursday, July 18th, the Outdoor Dreams team is here to help people understand how to buy dirt or how to sell dirt. It's a unique transaction, and these guys are willing to help. Also, Compere Financial is here. Very, very few lenders want to deal with large land transactions, but these guys do. So if you have clients or you have an interest in learning a bit more about land, these guys are pouring into the group next week, the 18th at 1 o'clock for a little lunch and learn. Next up, here's what I would tell you. It's not average camp, it's mega camp. Okay? And I would also share with you this. Mega camp is not for everyone. Like, for real, it's not. The size and scale that they have in terms of the panels and what they share is so large that sometimes it's hard to comprehend or understand. And yet, if you really desire to build a large business with scale, it's mega camp for a reason, not average camp for a reason. I think it's 2 or 3 of the best days that you can spend. Not only that, every single time they host an event like this, the amount of referrals that comes from meeting and networking people, it comes back and forth. You only need one referral from an event like this to pay for itself. This morning, just because I was curious, I went and looked up flights for the group. And here's what I would tell you. Flights within the domestic US have been rather expensive this summer. I don't know if anybody of you have traveled. Really expensive. Robbie just said they just broke the TSA record for passengers screened. 3 million on Sunday. Domestic travel's been expensive, and yet I was shocked. I will tell you, you can get from O'Hare to Austin nonstop, Midway to Austin nonstop, or Milwaukee with a stop for under $400 right now in domestic travel. That's pretty affordable for the dates of Mega Camp. So I wanted to share for those in terms of if you need any perspective of is it attainable or affordable you to get to. It totally is, and I pulled them this morning just to give you guys a little bit of perspective. So if you're interested in going to Mega Camp, just wanted to share with you some of those details. Cool? Awesome. All right, with that, we invite Defender Dawn up. Dawn, share us a little bit about what the real estate examining board has been up to as it relates to changes in our industry.
Yeah, so the changes, and I will say, I'm sure a lot of you, everybody should have gotten the WB forms. They are a change in email that came out from the WRA this week. They're not in zip forms yet. We did get the legal update with some of the changes that we're expecting, but the forms are not in zip forms yet. They're gonna have optional use date July 1st, so really as soon as we have them. Mandatory use date is going to be August 15th. Those are gonna be updated in zip forms automatically. If you already have a it's not a room, what is it? A transaction started, you're gonna have to delete what you've got in there and then re-download what's in there, just from like a logistics side. The things that are changing, all the WB listing contracts, the buyer agency and tenant representation agreements are updated. Some of the changes, and I didn't put them on the slide, I've got the thing in front of me. So some of the changes to expect are the marketing section in the WB1 residential listing contract. We'll talk about how the seller is also authorizing the firm and its agents to offer incentives, including concessions for concessions that are offered but can't be limited to or conditioned on the retention of or payment to a cooperating firm, buyer's firm, or other buyer representative. So there's going to be some changes that we're going to make sure you guys know how to explain, and we'll get those out to you. I'm waiting to see the full contracts coming out in zip forms, and then we'll get this with the changes to you and just kind of like an overview of what to expect. And we'll be talking about this in the coming weeks. One of the big changes that we'll see in the buyer agency agreement is that there's a special note now that it says a firm may not represent that their services are free or available at no cost to their clients unless they will truly receive no financial compensation from any source. So buyer's agents who've been saying that it's free to use a buyer's agent, that's like in the contract, it says that it's not free to use a buyer agent anymore. And then in the offer to purchase, there will be a section with a checkbox for seller payment of compensation to the firm. So that'll be, you don't have to worry about how to word that anymore, because that's going to be a checkbox that'll be in the offer to purchase. So if you're asking for the seller to pay the commission, it's going to be in the offer to purchase. Yeah, Pat.
Is that a Keller Williams form or is that?
Nope, this is WB state forms. Yep, so they are, they've been going through the process of updating them. They've been working quickly to do that, and we saw the drafts of them, but the final documents are what we're just waiting to get uploaded into some forms. Any other questions? A lot of change it, like once we've got them in hand, we'll run through the changes so you guys are prepared.
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
So these are or are not available?
Not yet.
Not
Well,
Oh,
as of
this
like
week.
11 a.m. they weren't yet. So I
Okay.
checked right before. Yeah.
Once they are in zip forms, that will automatically replace the existing ones?
Not in any transactions that you've started, but in like you're adding to a new template, it will.
So the templates will be automatically updated?
Yes.
Okay, just the existing transaction folder.
You'll have to
created
delete.
will have the old ones.
Yes.
So if we're doing any new execution of these documents
The new forms will be there.
in the folders that have been created for transactions, we have to replace the old document
In the current ones you have.
in the current ones,
Yes.
yeah. Right.
Got it. Cool.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Thanks, Don. One comment to make on that. I know that like the changes, we've been trying to give you them in digestible parts, not overwhelm you over time. The one really good thing, and I've said this before, but I just want to reiterate, like we work in an environment that we all should be very grateful for from the standpoint of our forms and contracts are controlled by the REIB, which is the Real Estate Examining Board at the state level. So when I hear firms, especially locally, that are like tweaking all this stuff, I'm like, why would you be doing that when the whole state has to work within the same set of forms? And I actually appreciate the consistency and the level of consistency to our forms, and that it is controlled by the REIB and not firm by firm or standard by standard, or whatever that may be. So part of our updates to you is making them in digestible parts, and to know that like you're operating in the same environment that your peers are operating in, and you're not at a competitive disadvantage because so-and-so decided to go spend a ton of money with a legal firm to redraft the exact same document, just worded in a different way. And I'm like, what gives? Why would you do that? But so stay tuned, more information to come, and we'll get it to you as it rolls out. Cool. Awesome. All right. Linz has a few tech and marketing updates for the group because there's two things you need to know. Linz, what do you got?
Yes, hello, good afternoon, everybody.
Hello, good afternoon.
Is it echoing for anybody or is it just me?
Hold on, I can fix that. Linz.
Okay.
Go.
Okay, it might be good now. Okay. All right, so we do have some exciting updates in Command as far as smart plans and email designs in within Command. So first and foremost, we do have a couple of new smart plans that have been added into our KW Milwaukee library. So we're always looking for new ways for you guys to reach out to your database and build up that 36 touch. And these two are going to help you do that, whether it's targeting your sellers in your database or your buyers in your database. And that's where you have the ultimate buyer or seller smart plan. And so both of these are going to be 6-month-long smart plans, and it includes 1 email a month. So the moment that you add your database or any of your contacts to one of these smart plans, it's going to automatically set that contact up for receiving 1 email a month for 6 months. And so we've got various different topics for those emails that are going to be sending out through the smart plan. So next slide, it'll kind of detail some of those topics. So one of them is we've got, why hire a buyer's agent? That's pulled directly from our new buyer presentation. Really how to articulate your value as a buyer's agent. Things like 8 steps to buying a home, information on financing and mortgages, tips for first-time home buyers, the ultimate guide to moving and relocation. And then for the seller smart plan, how to prepare to sell your home, how to enhance your home sale with professional photography. Why is that important? Where are buyers looking, and how to maximize your curb appeal. So those are just some of the topics that you'll see within these emails that are part of these smart plans. So again, if you go into the smart plan library and you search KW Milwaukee, you're going to find both of these, or you can simply search for the ultimate seller smart plan or the ultimate buyer smart plan. So if anyone has questions on these, feel free to reach out to me. Otherwise, these are done and ready to go. You guys don't have to go in and make your own edits. You can if you so choose, but these are built out and ready to send out immediately. Switching gears just a little bit, but kind of along the same lines, KW recently released a couple of new updates to the email design editor in Command. So it's got kind of a new refreshed look. It's very similar to what it did look like, but it's a lot more easy to use, which is super exciting. So you can create, beautifully designed emails within Command, and you can choose from a variety of different layout and content blocks. So you can upload images, you can add text box just like before, but you can now create more segmented space, basically like adding building blocks for your email. So if you want to include 3 images horizontally, you can add those building blocks in and then fill those with content, whether it's an image or a text box. You can also add dividers. You can add listing blocks if you want to add a featured listing to an email, include a market snap for a certain neighborhood, highlight an event block. Maybe you're hosting an event coming up. You can add buttons and then other things as well. So check out the new email design editor. That's part of the Designs applet in Command when you go in and create an email. Next slide, we've got one more update in regards to smart plans. And really just in regards to contacts. So this is a small upgrade, but I think it's a really important one because I think it'll really save you some time in terms of determining, okay, who am I reaching out to and who's sort of fallen through the cracks in terms of, okay, is there anyone in my database who's not set up on a smart plan? You can now filter by that. So if you go into your contacts and you hit that filter button, you'll now see a section for smart plans. And you'll see that you can filter by any contacts that are set up on a smart plan, any contacts that you don't have set up on a smart plan, or if you want to specify, a particular smart plan, like who's set up on my seller smart plan or my ultimate buyer smart plan. You can go in and you can toggle that and apply that filter so that you get that list of contacts. So again, really kind of simple upgrade, but I think an important one, especially to find out who you are not communicating with in your database. All right, next slide. And I do have a upgrade to the social branding bootcamp. It is at 1 o'clock. So because of Ignite happening and starting this week, just note that it's switched to 1 o'clock starting this week. But we've got some exciting topics for the month of July. Our summer intern Ava is gonna take us through how to utilize Pinterest for your business this week on July 11th. And then the 18th, we're talking all about TikTok. And then we've got a very special guest on the 25th, Mr. Jonathan Newby. And so he's going to walk us through his Instagram account and the different content that he posts and how he really engages his followers. So again, Thursdays at 1 o'clock, which is a change because of Ignite happening. So that is at the Innovation Office in Wauwatosa, but we also have a Zoom version as well, and they're all recorded and uploaded to our YouTube channel. And then finally, Key Please. Leverage is the new hustle. So we've talked about this a couple weeks ago, but Key Please is an app that you can download, and it just connects busy agents with available agents, whether it's for a showing, an open house, running a key or a lockbox to a listing, a home inspection, or just letting somebody into the listing. So great for busy agents who need that support and that leverage. And it's also excellent for new agents who need to just gain some more experience within the industry. So far we've got 341 registered agents on the app, and this is strictly for our KW Milwaukee network. And so we adopted this in July of 2021. Since then, there's been over 464 total opportunities. So a lot of great opportunity for new agents to go in and raise their hand and volunteer to hold an open house or do a showing, and a lot of great leverage for you busy agents out there who need some help. The average fee paid by hiring agents has been $42 per opportunity. A variety of different zip codes are utilized. So those are just some of the top zip codes, but it's throughout the greater Milwaukee area. And a really interesting statistics, agents at KW Milwaukee made an additional income of $8,170 by just assisting other agents in the last year and a half. So people are definitely utilizing this. And so check it out. That QR code is going to take you to our website with more information and how to download this as well. If there's anyone out there who is downloading it and creating an account and can't get in, just shoot me an email and we'll get you set up. That's all I got today. Thank you.
Thanks, Linz. All right, I want to challenge you in 2 ways. Ready? Should we play a game?
Yeah.
Love it. Okay. There's a little stat that GMIR came out with recently, maybe about a year or 2 ago. Anybody know the average number of real estate agents a homeowner in southeastern Wisconsin knows? Who said 12? Oh, all right, here we go, Leah Bird. All right, 12. 12. The average homeowner in southeastern Wisconsin knows 12 real estate agents. Now, stay with me. Stay with me here, okay? 92% of homeowners across America only interview 2 agents. If you are 3 through 12, you are irrelevant in terms of mind share. Okay? I'll share with you 2 other things as it relates to helping you understand when Lindsay shares with you things like smart plans and how you automate some of your touches, why they're important. Okay? I'll start with the real estate and then I'll go to non-real estate. 1, if you've read the MREA, which I know many haven't, they just take bits and pieces of it. I'll give you a little bit of an insight into a market research study they did in San Diego, California, around the 8x8. Okay? And what they did is they created a fake agent. And they created a marketing, branding, and profiling, and they touched a certain geographical farm in San Diego 8 times in 8 weeks. And then they came back and they did a consumer research study asking the consumers of their perception of agent market share. And the fake agent came in as the second highest brand recognition in the marketplace. Then they let a year lapse. They came back a year later and they created another fake agent. And they tested the same theory, but instead of 8 touches in 8 weeks, they did 8 touches in 8 months. So 1 touch a month for 8 months. They came back, the brand recognition was non-existent of the second fake agent. The purpose behind it is I want to challenge you with is the intensity and frequency in which you touch and feed your database. And some of the things that Lindsay gives you tools and resources to is exactly what helps you become agent number 1 or number 2 in terms of mind share that helps you build your market share. Now, the second piece is if I said 1 call, that's all, who do you think of? He's playing the exact same freaking game. He is. He's playing the exact same game. Now you just have to think about what it is that I need to do in order to help you do that. And Lindsay provides you a ton of resources to help you do that, right? Second thing as it relates to KeyPlease, KeyPlease is a solution to a lot of people's problems, okay? You don't want to go to Hubertus at 8 o'clock on a Friday night because you're at a kid's baseball game. Great, that's what KeyPlease is for, to help you create balance within your life. And the reason why we're bringing some of these up is we're trying to help you provide solutions to help for your problems. And the problems may be is I'm having trouble feeding my database. Great, utilize smart plans and the things that Lindsay creates for you. Or 2, I'm having trouble finding balance in my life. Yes, that 8 o'clock showing for the 3rd time in Hubertus on a Friday night might not make sense. And a new agent who's hungry to gain experience by leveraging other people's clients could benefit from that opportunity in a way that you could spend time with those that you love, right? So some things to challenge you with and think about as it relates to how you operate your businesses. Cool? All right. So now I'm going to jump into market insights for the 5-county metro area through the first 6 months of the year. If you remember or recall, I gave some warnings after May. And I said, hey, look, like, seeing some things you got to be paying attention to. So there's some good news and bad news associated to May trends that showed up in June, and we'll jump into that. First is a reminder. 1, it's a humbling market. 2, great markets don't last, great agents do. You're not in it to have a great year, you're in it to build a great career. The reason why I remind you of these all the time is I'm challenging you to think with that evergreen mindset, right? In the infinite mindset, that the game isn't over from Jan 1 to December, that the game is you're playing the game as long as you decide to play the game, right? And it's your game, it's not anybody else's game. Just remember that, okay? So going back to the last 12 months, the reason why I shared this with you is the perspective is to where we are in the market of the moment. Last year, June, July, August, September, I was up here giving some really dark and dire news. Oh, we're down 20% again. Oh, the market's down 20% again. Oh, the market's down 20% again. Then it changed in the fall. And then it changed again in the first quarter. And we started clawing back. And then in May, we said, oh, starting to go the other way a little bit. And then you can see what happened in June. So as it relates to January, February, March, April, May, June, you can see the trends of how the tide has kind of ebbed and flowed through the first 6 months of the year. And the June results are not quite overly surprising based on how May showed up in terms of the listings taken units and contracts written units. So what I'm paying attention to is June an anomaly, or will the trend continue? Also interesting to note of how important of where we are within the season and why I think business is shifting faster than you might be realizing is typically from May to June, you see about a 10% increase in activity. This year, we saw a 12% decrease in activity. Okay, the market's shifting, and the market is shifting below your feet before you may realize it. The reason why I give you this information is so that you can be proactive to it. The second piece of this, and thinking about the holistic agent, is many of you right now are at your peak income standpoint in terms of the annualized basis. Okay, my warning to you is be like a squirrel and save your nuts. The closings that you have for May, June, July, August, don't go out and go book yourself a trip to Italy. Don't go out and buy that new sports car. Like, be smart with your money now, because we're starting to see it. If it's happening in June, it's going to show up in the fall. Okay. And I want to make sure that you bridge the gap between the peak seasons and lull seasons, and you're being smart with your money now, and that you aren't so eager because a lot of bank accounts are full in June. Plan ahead, because we're seeing things in the number that you should be planning ahead. So jumping into it a little bit further. As a reminder, I shared this with you throughout the year. My prediction is this too. If the market is flat, we should all be happy. If the market is up single digits, we should be ecstatic, because we're coming off of what was the bottom of the floor. And the reason why I share that with you in terms of the outlook is at the end of May, the market was up 10% for the year. Now, because of what happened in June, the market's only up 4% for the year. So you can see how quickly, how big of an impact June has on the overall market within the year. So that's why I go back to, if the market is flat, we should all be happy. If the market's up single digits, we should be ecstatic. Now, new unit inventory, what happened? This is what I was referring to of where we see bumps. Okay. Typically, if I were to show you May of 22 to June of 22, you'd see a bump of 10%. Visually, you can see here, May of 23 to June of 23, you see the bump. What you see here from May of 24 to June of 24, you see the decrease of 12%, right? And so the slowdown is happening earlier in the season than what we would have typically see. June, or from May to June, was down 15%. June of this year to June of last year, new inventory units was down 14%. That's going to show up later on. However, yet there's still good news to become, so don't feel like I'm raining on your parade. Total inventory is flat, May to June. Typically, again, when you look here, May of last year versus June of last year, you see the spike. If I were to go back May of 22 to June of 22, you'd see a spike. The fact that we're flat, even though total inventory, new inventory was down 14%, that's all right. Okay. Expired inventory units. I feel like I've been standing on a soapbox talking about this, but I need to continue to remind yourselves in two ways. One, expired listings are up significantly. May to June of this year, expired listings are up 14%. June of this year versus June of last year, they're up 29%. Okay, two things you need to pay attention to. One, you cannot overpromise and underdeliver on your pricing, because listing agents are getting the hook faster than they ever have. Two, there's a real opportunity to be second place in the market. If you need to diversify your listing lead generation strategies and you've never focused on expireds, now might be a time to consider what you may be doing to be second place, because many people are getting the hook faster because either sellers have outsized expectations or listing agents aren't corralling expectations on the front end. Okay. Next, sales absorption rates. This is percentage of inventory that goes under contract. Okay. First indication where I was concerned going into May was we saw a dip from April to May. If you go back historical, you typically see the peak of the market in terms of demand in April, May, and June. The good news is 3 of the last 4 months from March, May, and June have leveled off. So it's not, the reason why I share that with you, which is important, and why I came back to this, is we didn't see another decline in terms of sales absorption, which means that demand remains steady. Okay. Average days on market, and this is how it impacts. If demand didn't remain steady, days on market would spike. Days on market didn't spike in the month of June. Okay. And I have a whole theory and synopsis behind this, and I'll give it to you in the grocery store script here at the end. So the days on market remains relatively consistent, which means the velocity and rate of sale that we've been operating in is staying the same. Average days on market, sorry. Units going under contract. This is also very interesting in terms of demand metric, okay? New inventory was down 14%, but units that went under contract was basically flat. It was down 1% or minus 17 units versus May. That means that demand is still there, okay? Again, the days on market didn't spike. Units going under contract remained flat despite the fact that there was 14% new inventory that came to the market. Now, here's where you need to be paying attention, and this is my second little heat of warning as a listing agent. Impacts on pricing, okay? Price appreciation is starting to level off. If you recall, for the last 6 months, have been talking anywhere between 6 to 10% appreciation on any given month. In the month from May to June, it was only up 2%. From June of this year versus June of last year, it was up 6% on the average. And it was up 4.6% on the median from May to June, and up 6% from June over June of last year. Okay. The reason why I share this with you, and this is a real life story, I just talked to someone who's going into a listing appointment downtown in a third ward condo. They sold it last year to their buyers. The buyers then decided they didn't like it. They're selling it again. They sold it to their buyers at $340. The buyers now want to sell it this month at $370. And I was like, woo, like, you got to pay attention. Market is not appreciating like this anymore. The market is now leveling off. You have to right size your seller's expectations to help them realize what's important. Let's understand what their net sheet looks like to get them what they desire. Understand what the competitive set looks like in terms of the marketplace. But we can't have outsized expectations in terms of price appreciations. Now, that flattening of the curve, to be honest with you, for our industry is healthy, because up 12% for the last 3 to 4 years on an annualized basis is outside of trend. Okay. And if you remember historical trends on appreciation, the Fed and the government likes to see 4% appreciation. And that's healthy. So we're starting to level out what that trend looks like, but we have to pay attention so that you don't get canceled a week into your listing contract. Make sense? Cool. So price per square foot is flat from May and up 6.7% versus June of last year. Now, here is my grocery store market of the moment script for you. When you walk into Quick Trip, or you go to Pick and Save, or you run into Sendix, or you go to Piggly Wiggly, shop your pig, okay? And someone says to you, hey, Sheila, what's going on in the market? Sheila's like, I got you. Here's what we got. So demand of the market. This is important to understand. May was the first time where we start to see the demand metrics crest or level off. And that demand remained consistent in June. Okay. What that means is the demand curve flattened, but it did not get worse. It's important because it helps people understand how it's impacting pricing. And here's my real general theory or thesis. I believe it's coming from an overpromise and underdeliver on the rate environment that so many people heard in October, November, December. By May, the rates may drop a quarter of a point or a half a point. Well, that didn't happen in May. So now we're dealing with the impacts of consumers who thought rates were going to come down during peak season and they haven't, right? And yet homes are still moving at the same rates they were in 22 and 23. So what that means though is, yes, demand has flattened, which also, we'll talk about this in a second, which means pricing is flattening. However, the velocity and rate of sale is still transacting. So what that means as a buyer's agent is you still have to make sure that your people have really sharp pencils, their financial affairs are in order to be competitive. Because it's not as if they have more time and there's more things to look at. They don't. Okay. Velocity of the market we talked about, operating very comparable to your past. So in which deals are transacting. Now, price appreciation. Here's the important piece. And this is really important to help people understand. We've had unbelievable appreciation. People's balance sheets have never looked healthier in terms of their real estate assets. They haven't. The 3-year run for those that have bought in the last 3 years has been phenomenal for them. Yeah, appreciation gains are starting to level off to mid-single digits, which quite frankly is healthy because they were from an inflationary standpoint, and they'll get this as how you relate it to gas or eggs or chicken. That leveling off is healthy because everyone wants to see everything in life level off. They want to see that their McDonald's cheeseburger is leveling off, right? It's true. That's healthy for your asset. It needed to level off. Now, the pace we had been appreciating was not sustainable, and pay attention to right sizing sellers' expectations. And here's what will stick with you as a listing agent. Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. You don't want your sellers to become slaughtered by the market because they overpriced it versus the competitive set based on the market of the moment. And all of a sudden they're sitting there at 45 days and they look at you and say, what the heck, right? Your job when you go into it is to write those expectations to help them realize what their output is. Make sense? Cool. All of the slides as it relates to the market of the moment, the grocery store script, the lore report, the luxury stats, all of it, we upload every single week to kwrealtymke.com. So in the event it will help you win a deal, feel free to utilize it. Or if you need any help or support, we're here to pull anything you might need to help you. Cool? Awesome. Any questions for me? It's July 8th. It's a beautiful day in Milwaukee, people. Let's rock and roll. July 9th? Is it the 9th? It's the 9th. I'm living in the past. Yes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You come up with these phrases, pigs get slaughtered, half would carry water. The world is run by those who should, like, do you make these up or like?
No,
do you just,
I am not.
I mean, they're so good. They're so
good.
good, but it's like you always have a new one, and I'm like, wow, it's so good. Where's Charlie? This one?
Part of it is I'm a consumer of content.
Okay.
I read a lot. I listen a lot. And like, it's a perfect example, right? Stats and facts tell, stories sell. And the story here is pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. You'll remember that. And what you'll correlate it to is don't overprice things. And so what I try and do is help you understand there is data behind the stories I tell you. And so that we create everything we do with an intention and purpose so that you walk into that condo listing that Bethany's going into and she says, okay, I have to figure this out. So I just, when things come up and I do have a notes section in my phone, I'm like, ooh, this will be good at some point. But it's a way for me to try and get you to remember, like, I just threw 20 pages of stats at you. I don't expect you to remember the stats, but I try and help you understand the theme.
Got it.
So
Love it.
cool.
Not a serious question, but
No, it's
I
all
just
good.
gotta know.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm always happy to help.
Realtor stat. Does that exclude realtors from that statistic? We all know 100 realtors. That throws that stat off.
I don't know. But if you figure right, like, all right, law of 6 degrees of separation is real. There's 5,000 agents in the southeastern Wisconsin metro area, and the region itself is about 1.5 million to 1.5 million and change people. Now, you can do the math pretty quickly to say, yeah, there's a lot of us, running around trying to sell 1.5 million people homes. Yeah.
I know it's probably a little premature, but do you have any thoughts of what we may see going into fall, given the fact that it's one year and statistically and historically, we do see, I mean, we were just talking about this ART meeting, there is a very good chance we're going to see a reduction in units, maybe not like a significant reduction in value or whatever, but people are distracted, people are pulling, maybe pulling back. And do you think if you were to be a gambling man that we will see a reduction in units, at least in that November, maybe like end of October through November, more so than we have seen historically?
Yeah, so the question for those on Zoom is what's the impact on the election and how it will impact our business? Okay, everything I hope you understand, I'm going to make apolitical statements. Okay, it doesn't matter if you're right or left, I'll just talk about the industry. Historically, during election cycles, those sitting in office, knowing that the housing market is a huge piece of the macroeconomic GDP, will try and pull some levers to kind of rev this up a little, I would imagine, right? It's just good business practice if you're trying to win an election. What I don't know though is like inflation still really hasn't leveled off, which is concerning to the administration, both administrations. Like inflation's an apolitical thing; it impacts everybody on both sides of the aisle. And I think there's a lot of uncertainty in the election right now with where things kind of sit and stand on both sides. And so I haven't seen the change I would have thought in order to rev up our industry to help the current administration. And there's just so much uncertainty, which is why I'm kind of like, I don't know. You know, I'm not entirely sure. I wouldn't be surprised if June was an anomaly and all of a sudden August and September and October, we're sitting here saying like, oh, wow, that thing really came back. I think it's because it would be an election, but I also, knowing where the trends are from April, May, and June, that's part of the reason why I said like, you guys got to be smart with your money right now, because if you just follow the trends and take the election out of it, I'm telling you, I think winter might be a little colder this winter, and you want to make sure that you're putting acorns away to save for the winter. If you take the election completely out of it, we're just looking at numbers. And I'm more conservative from the standpoint of like fiscally conservative of making sure that you can bridge those gaps. And so I'm proactive in taking measures to make sure that we're in a good spot, because if I'm in a better spot in October, then that just means that, great, I have more flexibility to do what I desire to do. But, you know, it's interesting. I'll leave you with this on that thought. For those that attended James Shaw at the War Memorial, James said something that really hit home with me, because I'm feeling it with the litigation in the industry, how the industry is changing, and talked about how a lot of agents have anxiety. The fastest way to alleviate your anxiety as an agent, build up your robust pipeline and build up reserves. And anxiety shows up when you have a lack of reserves, a lack of pipeline, and the worst anxiety is when you have a lack of pipeline and a lack of reserves. And so I'm just trying to be proactive in helping you guys think about your reserves and what you have from a financial standpoint, so that you can make good decisions to help you weather the storm. Because I'm in it for the relationship over 5 to 10 years, not the relationship of like crush 1 month or crush 6 months, you know? So cool.
Winter is coming.
Yeah, winter's, you know, it's sitting here in July, and I'd say get your parkas out. But I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to be real with you so you aren't caught. So cool. Guys, thanks for showing up. Thanks for interacting with me. Hope they helped. For sure.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. I always appreciate the questions.
Well, I follow a lot of the videos and podcasts from Keeping Current